Well, welcome, Robert, to the KMF Production Sideshow.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
It looks good. Now, we need to work on headroom here a little bit, I think. There you go.
Okay.
Perfect. Robert,
Yeah.
I've known you for a short time here, but obviously you're passionate about film.
Yeah.
What side of film are you more interested in? What is it that really...
I love the idea of directing a feature film.
Okay.
I love the idea of being in control of every aspect of the production. I'm kind of a control freak like that.
Okay.
A lot of times my mind will get into this vision mode where it's so strong and centered and focused that anyone that tries to penetrate it or try to annoy it, I get like it's my baby. You know what I mean?
So you're possessive.
Right. I feel like I've directed a lot of different corporate stuff and a lot of things with a mutual director, but I'm looking to direct something that is bigger and longer reaching.
Okay.
So
would you say that you're more of an independent filmmaker than working with people or just a few people?
Absolutely independent. I'm a contractor, so I have to be independent in order to do what I do.
Right.
But in terms of like actually making movies alongside peers, like Detroit filmmakers, I'm very active in understanding who is out there and what their talents, how their talents are going to be used in life. I have a lot of peers and friends that do this, and it's a fun experience to be able to be a part of it. You know what I mean? To be a part of a crew and stuff like that.
How did you get interested in film? What age and what brought it about?
I've always been interested in media and television ever since cartoons. Like when I was a kid, like preschool.
Cool.
We'd watch like Dennis the Menace and Chilly Willy and James Bond Jr. was an odd show that we watched after school. But the TV was always kind of like a comfort thing for me. I would learn from the television. And a lot of people say that TV is not good for you, and I totally disagree with that.
Now, are you a reader as well, or do you really more enjoy the visual communication?
I am a visual communicator. I can understand visually better than I can reading like a novel or a book. Okay. A script is a little different because it's a script. So it's basically essentially a movie. Right. You know what I mean? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll watch a film that I really enjoy and then read the script afterwards to see what they included and what they didn't, how they modified the quotes, how they modified the dialogue, the monologues, whatever. Because a lot of times they do that. A lot of times things aren't scripted exactly. And if I really like a movie, for instance, there's this movie Sideways, and they had like these weird scenes where...
Is that with Sandra Bullock?
No. Sideways is a film about these two friends that go off on a wine trip. One of them is getting married, and the other one is just recently divorced.
Oh, Giovanni, or what's...
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Right.
I saw it.
Yeah, he's the shit.
Good flick.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. But I read the script after the fact, and they had all these oddball, distant scenes where like they're fantasies and stuff. Like it would take them into this weird, dark place, and I'm like, I'm so glad that they didn't do this in the movie, and because it would have ruined the movie. You know what I mean? So, but visually, I can identify with eye movement, like where on the screen a person should be focused, and then cut to the next thing. It's either going to jux that or it's going to stay on that. So I'm very keen on this type of area.
Now, Robert, not only are you experienced with the camera use and the videography, if you will, but you're also very skilled with editing. Would you say that the editing really tells the story, the way you piece it together? It can make or break a film?
It absolutely can make or break a film. I mean, if you have a sloppy edit, if you have a cut just a few frames off, it could interrupt the whole flow of a scene. I look at editing as it's something that you play around with and you feel out. Because a lot of times you'll go back, and a lot of times you're under a time constraint and you have to have a certain amount of time for a certain amount of part. It's basically a giant jigsaw puzzle. And I enjoy it. It's funny, I hate puzzles in real life, but when it comes to...
So do I.
When it comes to motion picture, piecing things together, it's the ultimate satisfaction when you can spend a few hours and cut together a nice sequence. And it enhances it more when you have music and sound and things of that sort. And then the performances are good and the color's good. There's a lot of layers to making a film, and people don't realize that. That's why, with the film that we're trying to accomplish here, it's going to take a little more time because we're talking about nature. We want the naturist colors to be really pure and nice, so that's a color grade thing. That's just one aspect of hundreds of different things that could potentially be. Now we're fortunate that we have knowledge and we are guerrilla filmmakers. So that's a plus for anyone who's trying to maybe is thinking about investing in films, or anyone, we're very low overhead, we're very relaxed. We approach it, at least I approach things as just kind of, here we are, let's see what we can get out of it, and then deal with it editing later.
Okay, now in terms of editing, to talk further, I've had a taste of I've actually been fortunate enough to see some of your editing skills, and I'm very impressed with the originality of your editing. Would you say you're more stylized than conventional?
I would say I'm extremely stylized, because I was forced to start with weddings, and I hated the whole wedding video approach where you sit there and there's the vows and all that. So I would think about films that I'd like Fellini and Martin Scorsese, and I would do these stylized things that were unsequenced. And lately I've been reading a lot about Eisenstein's theories and stuff like that. But I would say that I approach every edit differently, because every edit there's a bulk of material, and unless I prefer to shoot what I edit because I'm already familiar with it. So that's another thing that's good, is the shooter can shoot for the edit. So if I'm on set, I know that I'm gonna need a shot of somebody, I'm gonna need a shot of their hands, I'm gonna need a shot of whatever tension's going on, symbolism. I'm very quick and like that. You know what I mean? And it's very good for editing because it makes things like rapid fire and paste. It just speeds up the process of completing a film.
Now, aside from your commercial editing experience in filming as well as wedding video and editing, do you have a favorite genre that you like to work with?
I love dramatic stuff that's not supposed to be dramatic. For instance, I've cut a couple of wedding reels that were just interesting enough where you would get faces of people that looked like... It's weird, I'm funny like that. It's a wedding, but I want it to feel tense.
Right.